Hey guys, welcome to the Revenue Accelerator with Kat Stancic, the lead boss. And I have someone actually that I'm really excited for you guys to hear more about because she's going to help you understand how you are in your own way and what you can do about it in order to get to that $1 million business that you know you're sitting on. We have today Therese Skelly, and she is going to actually introduce herself because y'all know they do a better job than I ever would.
Thank you so much. I'm delighted to, we have been in each other's orbit for like a million years. So it's really nice to finally connect in person. I'm excited about this. So what I do, I used to be a psychotherapist, and that is really critical because not only do I understand after I was in psychotherapy, then I was a marketing consultant, business strategist. I'm a ninja at teaching people sales. And the reason I have been blessed to be really skilled is because I understand the mindset, I understand energy, and I understand the unconscious blocks probably better than a lot of people that didn't have 25 years in the field, right?
Yeah.
So what I do today, Kat, is actually less of the strategy because you guys are really good at that. What I do is I take people who already know what they're doing and they're not getting the results they want. So they know that there's something in them that's holding them back. They know, like, I am better than this. God dang it, what? Wait, what? What is wrong here? And I help them, clear, get aligned with what they want to be. And what I call, and these are all floaty words, embodied. Like, you have to be like, who are you going to be to that next level vision of yourself? And there's a lot of you can't just go, oh, I think I'll be positive today. Bullshit, right? It's a lot of, what's holding you back? Who do you want to step into? And there's a lot of cooking in there, like a lot of stuff we got to cook right there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it really comes down to, are the actions speaking as loud as the words, right? And they don't need to speak louder than the words necessarily, but you can't just talk and you can't just act. There really needs to be this amazing alignment.
Right.
Which is great because, it's everything that I'm about. I'm all about implementation. I'm all about action. I know that people consume a ton of information. Yeah. And what you do is beyond just what you could read in a book, right? You're bringing years of experience, your intuition, all that amazing stuff. So what do you see as some of the things that are you're more attuned than other people are? So you're basically like the ref and you're seeing everybody playing on the field and you see when there's a flag on the play. So you see when that person is doing that thing that they either don't want you to see or that you are inept at being able to see because you're skilled at it. So what are the flags on the play that you see people doing that are so common?
I love that. I call it collapsing, right? And to me, here's the number one, I'll just bullet point this. The number one indicator that you are in the unconscious block is if you feel stop-start.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you have a session with Kat or somebody and you get all excited, you get a strategy. Yeah. and so what happens is and it's not because you're lazy or you're stupid or you don't want it or you don't have a good mentor. Nobody wakes up on Tuesday and says, this is the day I'm going to screw things up. Nobody does that, right?
Yes, it's finally Tuesday.
I've waited my whole week to screw this day up. So what happens is, what you have to understand, and this is really imperative, is that your brain is wired to keep you safe, small, and stuck. Our brains from cave days, right? When things were jumping out at us, our brains are always going to tell us, well, that's dangerous. That's not going to work. That would be scary. And so because literally biologically you're wired to stay stuck. And so it takes a shit ton of stuff. You got to get the right strategy, but then you have to understand how to not be sucked into this losing. I just call it collapsing. And we all do it, right? And sometimes your kid is sick, or sometimes you lose a job, or your husband loses a job.
Life happens.
Or there's a pandemic. There's some things that make you collapse a little bit. Right. But when everything's fine and suddenly you're like, well, maybe I need to do more research. Oh, I need a better banner. Oh, I need to go on Pinterest. If you find yourself doing that.
Dude, I just did that the other day. And the thing is this happens at every level of business, right?
Absolutely.
This is not a newbie thing. This is not a, you're a master in something kind of thing. I did it the other day when I was like, oh, let me go look to see about doctorate programs. Come on, Kat. Spent 2 hours going down that rabbit hole.
Right.
And I share that because, people think that certain people are beyond, this collapsing experience. So what triggers this collapsing to actually happen?
I think most of us, so like right now, if somebody came to my door, my dogs would start barking, right? Because they're wired to alert. Right. That's just their job,
Right.
And so what I do as a dog owner is like, shh, go lay down. Shh. And it doesn't stop me from answering the door. I understand their job, and then I quiet them, and then I do what I'm supposed to do. But when we hear that, like, let's say you work with somebody and you give them a great strategy and you're like, okay, you're going to double your rates, you're going to get out more. And all of a sudden they start hearing oh my God, what if people think, like they hear the little voice and they believe it. They give it power. And so if you understand the dog analogy, you wouldn't go, oh no, they're barking. This is a horrible day. I better stop. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't hide under the covers if the dogs are barking. But most people, unfortunately, Kat, are not able to go, oh, isn't that fascinating? There's a part of me that's afraid. That's not the truth. If I understand what Therese was saying about the brain and the biological imperative, now how can I do both? How can I go, I'm ready to piss myself, I'm so scared, and I'm going to keep doing it? Right? Most don't have the ability to do the both. And so when they get in this, so it's either they start hearing the self-doubt, the little voices, or we could go for days on this one. We pick up other people's energies. And so it might be something in you where you're literally hearing, it's going to be scary. They're going to think you're a nut job. Nobody's going to pay. Kat's already done it. Why are you even trying? La, 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 right? Or there's like a weird, like, I don't know why, but I just don't, it's not even a voice specifically. It's just, and then I pick up, this is how I run my world with my little pendulum. I pick up my little pendulum and my intuition says, oh, your grandmother had a really bad incident with money, and in your family legacy, money is bad and people were harmed because of money. Ding, ding, ding. Now, most people don't know that that's the work I do, is finding those like things that we're carrying that just put the brakes on for us.
Yes. Right. Well, and these are things that, I'm an action taker, so, I tend to be very controlling, and a lot of my people are as well, like in terms of being very precise and concise with what they're putting their attention to. And it's hard as someone who's controlling to think that there's something that's happening outside of my control, something that happened generations ago, right? Something that's impacting your DNA today. And there's a lot going on in the world right now having to do with that exact concept. So how does someone kind of get over that in a way? And I'm not talking about get over as in like it didn't happen, but recognizing it and then moving on in a way that supports yourself and, in this case, your business.
So I'll give you 3 tools. The first one, I already gave you the barking dog analogy. You must stop listening to your thoughts. So you need to start identifying, like, okay, there's that scary thought. And the literally the best question in the world is it true? Is it true that everybody's going to hate me and I'm going to be the homeless cat lady? Like, really, is that true? Right? My case, dog lady, but whatever. So that's what you want to add. Like if you can separate, a really good way to do that is to write the thoughts out. Because when they're in their heads, our brains are like, don't forget, you're going to die. It's going to suck. You're going to lose all your money. As opposed to, okay, I hear you. Let me write all that down. And you write it all out. So your brain's like, okay, you got it down. Okay. So number 1, notice your thoughts. Number 2, I would have you basically say, is this mine or somebody else's? So imagine you're feeling like you've just taken a webinar from Kat and you're all excited, and then you're like, oh God, I can't do that. You literally can ask your body, right, does this feeling belong to me? You don't even have to psychoanalyze it. Right. And 90 to 95% of the times, it's not even our feelings. And if you're a sensitive person with what's going on in the world today, we're all under siege. We're all like exhausted. There's fatigue. There's just fear. I mean, it's just, and so if you're feeling a little sluggish right now, hello, you could just be picking up on the collective. Right. And so if you understand, okay, I'm carrying this other energy, you can either come to me and I'll fix it and flip it for you, or you can say, it's not mine. Okay, go. Just return to sender. You could burn it in a fire. You can like send it to God, give it to the earth, whatever it is, but just differentiate mine and not mine. This is not my energy. This heaviness, this fear. Like when the pandemic first started, I literally was paralyzed for 2 months. I couldn't even work. I'm like, I'm supposed to be a leader. Oh, hell. And I'm like, wait, what? But I was picking up on all the collective, and I had just to honor that, but then go, I don't even believe, like, shh. But it takes a while to differentiate mine versus not mine. And the third one, and this is, you got to do a little mental gymnastics here. So I call this the flip it on its head technique. Okay, so imagine there's a part of you and you're going forward, but then you're also scared, right? You can always tell it's called a conflicting intention, where a part of me really wants to make 7 figures, but another part's kind of scared that I would, right? Whatever. So you ask yourself, and none of it's logical, so I have to say that, what would be the potentially negative thing about getting this? Some people say, nothing negative. Shh. If you're not getting it, there's something, we call this a payoff,
right?
Or a secondary gain. What's the potentially negative thing? And again, it's not logical. Well, if I make that much money, maybe, maybe my husband will feel threatened, or maybe my church friends won't like me anymore, or like literally just go to the ends of the, like, and what else, and what else? And the second question is, what is the potentially positive thing about not getting this?
How's it serving you not to do it? Yeah,
exactly. And then you'll find, like, in there, that's the resistance. Then you're like, oh, wow, I'm more wedded to staying comfortable than I am to getting my mission. So those are just 3 techniques to kind of work with some of the mindset stuff.
I love that. And I tell my clients a lot of times the money's beyond the resistance, right? And so it's like really about having the conversation and leaning into it versus what you're talking about exactly, which is running away, right? It's the fight or flight. And it's like, hold on, there's a third option. Let's talk about it.
Go right in, dive in.
And it really comes down to, the simplicity of being present, being aware, being mindful of what's going on, and just not kind of droning along in life, right? And being this robotic thing of, I need to do X, Y, Z, but really being in that space of, consciousness where you're actively driving the car, right, in your career. So what does like mindset really have to do with like sales and growing your business?
Everything. Because you've probably had students that take your program and you're like, what the heck is wrong? Like
your process works. Why aren't they getting the results? And there's only so much.
You're like, this thing works. And why do some get it? Why do some not get it? And especially in selling, oh my gosh, that is I love selling because I had to overcome all this, right? We often teach what we needed to learn. And so for me, the number one thing with selling is owning your value. You have to understand. Well, if we had a hardware store and we were selling like screwdrivers and commodities, it's a different thing. But when you're a service-based business owner and you are up for sale, whoa, that's when all the gremlins come out and tell you like, Tony Robbins already said that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So you have to own your value. And when I had my sales training 15,000 years ago, I had the best sales trainers. I was like well trained. We had scripts. If they say A, go to B, like 15 pages of script, I couldn't sell a thing. And it was because of all my stuff. And so I discovered, like, it doesn't matter if you have the right formula, the right system. If you can't own your value, and the selling conversation, it's easy to like, and what else do you want? And how will that make your life better? But then when you have to go, okay, that's going to cost $10,000. Okay, that's where it gets
Exactly.
Right? And so it's in that moment. And that's what it teaches. Like, number one, you own your value, but also how do you take a stand for your target? How do you know that you're not going to go like, okay, I'm sorry. Well, if that's what I used to do. You ever want help, call back,
Right.
Whereas you
I'm sorry for bothering you.
Exactly.
I know that you asked for this call, but I'm sorry.
You've heard that before too, or you've done that before. And I think unfortunately a lot of women have that. I don't want to bother people. I don't want to ask for money. I don't want to, we get like, well, we'll give you a discount. I'll give you a bargain. We could trade, we do that kind of stuff in the beginning anyway. And so when I teach my selling curricula, it's not just how to have a conversation. It's how you be powerful.
Mm.
And it generalizes through everything, because you know how you do anything is how you do everything. And so if you learn how to hold your value, and I don't use any manipulative guerrilla shaming bullshit tactics.
Amen. No bro marketing here.
Yeah. No. It's just real, just like, you want it, let's talk about it, right? So.
And it's that simple of a transaction. I know I talk about, like, when you go to the grocery store, you're saying no all the time. When you go and you don't pick up the ketchup bottle or the mustard bottle or the relish, it's not that you're saying F you, Heinz company or organic, company. I hate you, you suck. It's just that right now is not when I need ketchup.
There you go.
I hate ketchup, but meatloaf, that's the only thing I eat ketchup with. Yeah. But like, it's not personal, it's business, right? And so a lot of women get triggered because they start making business really personal and really hits that self-worth trigger. So how many people do you deal with that, it comes down to that kind of, repeated history or some kind of past trauma that has to do with self-worth and, that self-empowerment?
Almost everybody.
Yeah.
I think, you don't have to have been raped and violently assaulted to have had trauma. Right. You could have been bullied as a kid. I have a client whose older sister was sick. Nothing bad happened in the family, but because there was so much energy to the sick child, she got neglected and there was trauma. So I think, and what I understand what happens to the brain in trauma, it gets wired, like you use the term fight or flight, it gets wired to we can't create when we're in trauma. Right. And so I do a lot of work with trauma because I've had it, most people have it. So.
Well, and trauma is such a, it's, I talked about
there you go. Okay.
Sorry. My internet, everyone's online. So a lot of people, deal with trauma, and it's when you get that trigger, it's such a reactive state. And it's something you basically go from driving the car in your business and in your life to basically being jumped out and like you're in the trunk, right? Like you're not even in control anymore. So what is a strategy that you help your clients understand when they're in which role, like when they're in that reactive state versus, let's say, a creative state when they're really driving forward?
That's great. I think the first one is, if you understand, like for me, I can say, oh, there's that scared little part of me, right? You must understand that it's not like, here's a really quick thing. If you do not feel your chronological age, you're what I call regressed. Mm-hmm. So if I'm in my old age and suddenly I'm like, God, it reminds me of when I was 10, or it reminds me when I was with so-and-so, ding, 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 you're not your grown-up self.
Right.
And so that's one quick question. How old do I feel right now? Or what does this remind me of?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, that was a time like when my dad was yelling, I'm like, ding. Okay. A child should not run a business. Never. Yep. And so if you can, and so you can see the work I do is so much self-awareness. What I say is when you have awareness, you have choice. Yes. Otherwise, you literally are victimized. You're just held hostage by your history and others' energy. So if you're when I'm messed up, because we all get like, oh, I suck, nobody's gonna hire me. I'll be like, wait, is that mine? Wait, what? I go in and just go, what is that? And sometimes it's a part, sometimes it's a younger thing, something happened. For me, the looping thoughts when you're like, and I'm going to say that. And then when you can't stop the thoughts, that's a trauma response. That's literally your body. Yep. And you must train your brain to just go, okay, pause. Okay. Because the magic that we have now is a thing called neuroplasticity, where we literally can prune off. So if this was a plant and I stopped watering it, which sadly I've been killing my succulents these days, I can't get the balance
That's
right.
That's pretty hard to do.
I know. I'm like,
well done.
I either forgot or I overwatered. I don't know what I'm doing. But anyway, and I live in Arizona. It's kind of a bitch out here. And so if I don't water this plant, it's eventually going to die. And so when you start hearing those repetitive thoughts and you're like, oh no, I'm thinking, oh yeah, like if you feed it and water it, it's going to strengthen, as opposed to awareness. Okay, there's that thought in me that is telling me that it's going to be really hard. I'm never going to make it. I'm going to waste all my money. I hear you. And then you have to have a replacement thought, and it could be like, I'm on the right path. All is in God's hands, or, my soul's got me. And so you literally don't feed this thought. Yeah. And you must, you have to do so much mental work to rewire yourself. Otherwise, you're going to be a victim of your past and your family's past and your gender, right? So
I love that. I mean, it really, honestly, and I know you talked about strategy, and strategy is such, I mean, it's such an ego feeder, right? In terms of, and I love it because when you have a good strategy, it's fantastic. Then it's all about action, implementation, all that good stuff. But what people, you know, and it's such an easy place to go to because it's kind of like, and you know, I talk about money because that's where ego's at. Right. Yeah. But so much of what I do is beyond just the money. It's about the impact, and it's about taking the action and doing the consistent work and all that good stuff. But no one's Googling, how could I be more consistent in my business? Right. You're Googling, right? How can I make more money? So you have to talk about what it is that people are looking for and understand, like you said, which was, how do you take something and really, and kind of like do the AC/DC power converter of how do you take some energy that makes you feel victimized of I suck, I don't feel good, and convert it into this empowerment. Because when you're feeling empowered, you're feeling in control, then you take action. You do the things that you know you're supposed to do.
Exactly.
It's just,
this fuel, this will never get you anywhere. This is like the road to hell. It really is.
I mean, but it keeps you busy, right? And so that's the other part is it keeps people busy. So it feels like they're moving forward, but they're really turning in circles. So you're moving, but you're not actually making forward progress.
Yeah. When you're looking at that doctor, and I who am really on LinkedIn, I'm designing LinkedIn banners, right? Instead of connecting with people, I'm like, I need new graphics. That'll do it. Yeah.
Right. When that hour I spent posting and scheduling my content this morning, that wasn't the best use of my time. It's okay. It happens, guys. Everybody does stuff that they're not supposed to do. But here's the difference. What we're talking about here is awareness. And saying, you know what, I recognize that I did that. And here's what I should do. And here's the difference between you, the person listening, who's going to be making 5 figures versus 7 figures in their business. What are you going to do to change it?
Nice.
We're just going to talk about it. So Therese, how can people learn more about you? Because you go in such depth with the content that you share and the information that you share online. So how can people get in touch with you, learn more about what you do, and look at those shifts?
Well, so a couple of things. I have a book. Woo-hoo. So it's called How to Create a Business That Serves Your Soul, Love-Based Mission. And in it, I talk a lot about the mindset, the hidden blocks, the, dare I say the word codependency, how we take care of others more than ourselves. Like there's a lot of tools in here.
How dare you?
I know.
That's something that we do, especially as women and moms.
Dirty word.
And any kind of fur mom, fur baby mom and all that.
Yes.
The dogs need to go on another walk right now.
Yeah, exactly. So you can get the book. My website is thereseskelly.com. A little dated, have a little website shame, but whatever. But I have, one thing I do, Kat, that's a little different is I connect people to the soul of their business. It's a very different way of sourcing information. And it's beautiful. It's like a 20-minute meditation. And so if you want that, it's like people love this meditation. And so just go to thereseskelly.com/soul.
Nice.
And you'll get a meditation and a worksheet. That's a really nice way to help you go beyond yourself to show what am I really supposed to do in the world? So it's a really nice thing to have.
Awesome, guys. Make sure you check the show notes for that. That will be down there for you guys to check out. I know I'm going to go do it because it doesn't matter where you are in business. You can always do that gut check to make sure that you are in alignment with where you are supposed to go.
Got it.
Guys, check it out, thereseskelly.com/soul. And thank you so much for being on the show with us today. Any parting words that you'd like to leave our listeners with or viewers?
Tap into your mission. Because if you have this, you're supposed to do it. What I say to my clients, it's already done. It's inevitable. Your success is inevitable. You just got to be the right person, right? You just got to grow into that person that makes the success inevitable. But don't stop believing in yourself.
Hells yes. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Sure. It's been great.